Yeah, really, you can save a ton and like it better. Imagine being happy with how you're taking care of your health care, whether you're self-employed or part of the gig economy, or you just want a plan that you're happy with. Here you go. You can call right now and get a price within 2 minutes. A very, very smart use of 2 minutes. Here's the number you need. It's 844-45-BIBLE. That's 844-45-BIBLE. 844-45-BIBLE.
The days are getting longer, the roads are calling, and it's a great time to upgrade your ride at Hurl Chevrolet GMC in Goodland. Right now, get 1.9% APR for 36 months on a 2026 GMC Terrain, the perfect SUV for wherever the road takes you. Need a truck? Take advantage of up to $7,000 in rebates on a 26 GMC Sierra 1500 with eligible trade-in. And for serious capability, get $500 bonus cash on a new 2026 GMC 3500. See the full lineup today at Hurl Chevrolet GMC in Goodland or online at hurlchev.com.
If you're shopping for a banking institution, visit with Equity Bank of Hoxie, Grinnell, and Quinter, Kansas. The Equity Bank is heavily invested in local business and activities contributing in many ways back to their community. Their employees are involved with many organizations and area events. Plus, a lot of experience comes with that staff. You'll find valuable local assistance when you bank at the Equity Bank of Hoxie, Grinnell, Quinter, and other locations in Western Kansas. The Equity Bank, member FDIC.
Today will be partly cloudy with northwest winds turning to the southeast at 15 to 25, gusting to 35 miles per hour. Highs will warm into the 70s. Red flag conditions in eastern Colorado counties and Wallace County in Kansas. Tonight, another cold front with no moisture. South winds will turn to the north at 15 to 30 miles per hour, and lows will be in the mid to upper 30s. For tomorrow, we'll have those strong winds from the northwest, gusting 45 to 50 miles per hour, and Saturday they will continue to blow at 20 to 30 miles per hour. Along with dryness, fire weather conditions will need to be monitored. Temperatures will be seasonal in the 60 to 65 degree range for highs and lows in the upper 20s and low 30s. Easter Sunday looks nice, warmer with more sunshine, stays dry, maybe a little breezy with highs in the 65 to 70 degree range and lows in the mid 30s. This meteorologist Chris Schromick in the NWKS Radio Weather Center.
We've been serving ag families for generations because we believe farming isn't just a job, it's a legacy. Whether you're just starting out or expanding your operation, F&B Bank has flexible lending solutions designed for you. This is Loan Officer Kennedy Frank at F&B Bank. We're proud to be your hometown ag lender, member FDIC.
Looking for insurance that actually puts you first? At the insurance agency in downtown Goodland, we're independent, which means we work for you. Whether it's auto, home, crop, or business, we shop top carriers to get you the best coverage at the best price. No pushy sales, just honest advice from people who live right here in your community. Give us a call today at 785-899-5011 or stop by 1020 Main in Goodland and let's get you covered. The insurance agency. Insurance the way it should be.
At Ray Community District Hospital and Clinic, they believe in promoting healthier living through compassionate quality care. From state-of-the-art maternity care to life-saving emergency services, their dedicated team is there for you and your family. Whether it's managing diabetes, navigating recovery, or receiving specialized treatments, they're committed to your well-being. Discover the difference a community-focused hospital can make. Visit rayhospital.org today to learn more. Ray Community District Hospital and Clinic. Your health, our priority.
You can feel it in the air. Longer days, greener lawns, and plenty of projects waiting around the house. Good thing Hoover Lumber Ace Hardware in Goodland has you covered. Freshen up your home with Benjamin Moore paint, tackle the yard with powerful Ego battery tools, and give your lawn the boost it needs with Stage 1 Ultimate Fertilizer. Thinking about cooking outside? Check out their great selection of grills, griddles, smokers, and outdoor living essentials. And remember, if you need it, Hoover Lumber Ace Hardware probably has it. They even have milk. Hoover Lumber Ace Hardware in Goodland and Colby, your place for just about everything.
The Cheyenne County Hospital would like to welcome Dr. Saba Shinzada, a board-certified doctor of osteopathy. His area of interest includes obstetrical medicine with incorporation of osteopathic manipulative technique. With strong focus on family medicine, Dr. Shinzada is passionate about providing high-quality care to his patients. Dr. Shinzada is now accepting new patients as well as obstetric patients. To make an appointment, you can call today at 785-332-2682. That's 785-332-2682.
Need a porta potty or septic pumping in Northwest Kansas? Call Topside Portables and Pumping, your local family-owned crew. They've got clean, reliable toilets for weddings, farms, and job sites, plus full septic services, RV waste, fertilizer tanks, and more. Available 24/7, because when nature calls, they answer. Call 785-728-8089. That's 728-8089. Topside Portables and Pumping. Reliable, local, clean.
At Next Tech Wireless, we built a network for Kansans by Kansans. But just because our roots are here, it doesn't mean your adventures have to be. Take that trip, explore new places, make new memories. You can count on reliable service every step of the way. Bring your number to us to get unlimited data plus a Samsung Galaxy S26 for as low as $25 a month. Next Tech Wireless, connecting Kansans for 20 years, wherever life takes you.
You ready? Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4!
It's time for the Morning Blitz with Ross Volkmer.
Give me my cane. I'll show you how to play this game.
The High Plains only local sports talk show. Broadcasting live on Goodland's Rocket 102.5 and video streaming on YouTube, Facebook, and X.
Who's got it better than us? Nobody!
Covering it all from the preps to the pros.
Cowgirls hunting them, and they're finding them. Stargell with another 3.
The Blitz is presented by Pearl Chevrolet GMC, Hoover Lumber Ace Hardware, and F&B Bank, along with
Pestaway LLC, Topside Portables and Pumping, Equity Bank of Hoxie, Quinter, and Grinnell, and the Insurance Agency.
Let's go to work. And it's a base hit into center field by Freeman. Doyle rounds third. He's home to score. Tyler Freeman's first appearance of the year puts the Rockies ahead 2-1 to center. Doyle is there. Ball game. The Rockies end up winning a series here in Toronto for the first time in team history.
Towards that, McKinnon throws on the brakes. Just breaking ankles all over the place. McKinnon lets it go. He scores! For the second time in the illustrious career of Nathan McKinnon, he is a 50-goal scorer. It's 50 for number 29.
Here's the pitch. India rockets it high in the air, deep to left field. Martin's back. He looks up. It's gone. A sonic boom from Jonathan India.
And good Thursday morning, everybody. Off and rolling on this April 2nd. Glad you're with us here on the Morning Blitz on Rocket 1025, KLOE, NWKSradio.net, and, of course, the Hurl Chevrolet GMC video stream that you can watch my average face on YouTube, Facebook, and X. Appreciate everybody tuning in here on a gray start to a Thursday and a disappointing Thursday morning. Once again, I said yesterday on the show, I would love to see some of the wet stuff make an appearance yesterday or last night, and none of those. Appreciate the message for yesterday. I heard on the Good Neighbor Hour someone had 2 dead flies in the bottom of the rain gauge. I appreciate that. That's a good chuckle. That's a good one there from that listener. But yeah, no precipitation, at least here in the no participation here in Goodland, and I think pretty much anywhere if you go east and south, nothing there. Might be a little bit of stuff up there around the corner of Nebraska, some in Cheyenne County, which I hope they did get some precipitation up there, because it was it definitely was a lot drier than it was down here, and that's saying something because it's pretty much dry everywhere. But yeah, anyway, we'll push on. Today, by the way, going to be a pretty nice day. Temperatures, after a little bit of fog in the morning, going to get into the mid-70s. Winds light out of the northwest, maybe gusting up to 20 this afternoon. But I think overall going to be a beautiful day outside. A beautiful, beautiful day with temperatures in the mid-70s. What, sunny and 75? Isn't that a song? And my guess is you're going to see sunny and 75 today. We will see temperatures in the lower 60s on Friday, mid-60s and 70s over Easter weekend, and then temperatures in around the 70s to get next week going. I see Tuesday, if you're curious on maybe a percentage chance of rain, looks like maybe a very, very, very small chance Tuesday night of next week, but that's already at 20%, and that'll be gone here in a few hours. That's how quickly rain leaves the area. But Nonetheless, glad you're with us here on the Morning Blitz. Today's program will be joined by good friend Michael Bruntz of Huskers 24/7 Sports. What a time it has been to be a Nebraska fan. To witness Nebraska men's basketball make an NCAA tournament appearance, not only make it, but then win a game for the first time ever. Not only win a game, but make it all the way to the Sweet 16. That is pretty darn cool. On top of that, you have baseball and softball, both ranked inside the top 20 of their respected polls. And, softball coming off a humongous series win over a powerhouse in UCLA. Baseball has won, 18 of the last 19. And then, on top of that, it was spring football that, hey, people forgot and whatever, understandably so. Football was on the back burner. But Michael Bruntz, who joined me yesterday, we'll play the interview for you here this morning, talk about what's going on with Nebraska athletics from the man from Huskers 24/7 Sports. We will get to wins for the Royals and the Rockies yesterday. Some interesting stats from both of those games as well. I saw that the Colorado Buffaloes men's basketball team was in action yesterday in the first round of the Crown. It was short-lived. They lost in overtime. But I noticed something interesting about the Colorado Buffalo team last night playing in the Crown, which, by the way, those who don't know who the Crown is, it's a tournament of, I think 16 teams. Might be less than that. It's either 8 or 16 teams playing in the Crown in Las Vegas, and there is not only a crown as a prize at the end, but there's NIL money too, which for those Nebraska fans out there, remember Nebraska men's basketball won the Crown, which was a part of their great start of winning. I don't know how many games in a row to start the season, 24 consecutive games, something like that. Pretty crazy. So we'll get to that. And also, it's a very, very busy local sports day. Pretty much, I would call this today kind of the kickoff of the spring sports season. That's what I would call today, if we're being completely honest, because we've had a little bit of baseball, we've had a little bit of softball, but today, golf, tennis, track and field join the mix, and so we are full bore into the spring sports season here on April 2nd. We'll touch on that throughout the show as well. FNB Bank text line open at 785-899-2222. Would love to hear from you on the program today. If you would love to get your thoughts, comments, questions, opinions in, we will take those for sure. Officer Jared, Johnny on the spot, my friend. He has an edition of Dear Ross. Another edition of Dear Ross here on the Morning Blitz. Dear Ross, the Rockies just won their first series yesterday against the Blue Jays, and last year, Rockies fans waited until June for that. Ross, should I be planning postseason tickets or protecting my feelings? P.S. The Rockies are home this weekend against the Phillies. Thank you, Jared. Thank you. Well, here on Dear Ross, here's the thing. First and foremost, great win for the Rockies yesterday. 2-1-10 is what they get done yesterday. 2-1 victory in 10 innings. Great result. Here's first and foremost, the offense was not clicking. They were kept in check by, let's face it, one of the better pitching staffs from front to back in the entire Major League Baseball and the Blue Jays. I mean, they showed that last year, making it all the way to the World Series before coming up short. But they were held in check offensively, but they played really good defense and they got good pitching all the way. Did the Rockies from beginning to end yesterday. Tyler Freeman was in there, Antonio Senzatella, some other guys. The pitching, I think, really for the Rockies has been pretty darn good this year. Aren't I right, Jared? I think it's been pretty solid. That's what I think. I think it's been a pretty solid start for Rockies pitching. They just got to get that offense going a little bit more here. I know they had a good game against the Blue Jays, but they need to get the offense going a little bit more consistently. And I think the amazing stat, and I'll repeat this again later, I think the amazing stat was the fact that it was the first ever win for the Rockies, I think, against a series win against the Blue Jays. They had never won a series in Toronto. They had maybe beaten the Blue Jays in Colorado. They had never beaten the Blue Jays in Toronto. So it's the first ever series win in Rockies history against the Blue Jays. Now, that makes a little bit more sense because, once again, they're not in the same divisions. they aren't used to playing each other very much. It used to be just a few years ago, the National League played the National League and the American League played the American League, and they only crossed over for a week. Now it's completely crossing over. They play everybody. And so it's I don't want to sit here and say it's a shocker that it took this long to get there, but it still was kind of a surprise to hear that stat. It's the first ever series win for the Rockies over the Blue Jays in Toronto. So pretty cool stat there for sure. But once again, Rocky, Jared, I would not be getting your postseason hopes up at this point in time. I would not be doing that. I mean, who knows? I mean, you could be like the Marlins. No one expected anything from the Marlins. They're 5-1 to begin the season, but the season will get rolling. I think we'll see the Rockies lose close to 100 games. But once again, like I said, we'll see the team. I think we'll see some improvement from last year, and that's good because it was very, very bad last year. Another edition of Dear Ross here on the Morning Blitz. All right, let's get the show rolling here. FB Bank text line 785-899-2222 to be a part of the Morning Blitz. I would love some participation from the listeners today, particularly if you're a Kansas basketball fan. Because the news came down yesterday afternoon and it wasn't shocking news. It wasn't like, oh my gosh, like, can you believe this news? It was more of just like, okay, more of like what we expected. But the news came down that Bill Self is returning to coach Kansas basketball. I think for his 24th season, Bill Self is back and he is ready to lead this program again for another year for KU. Once again, Self in a quote yesterday, did just pretty much said, pretty much what he said, when the rumors, I guess, started kind of flying around was that he said, I don't know if I'll be back. He didn't say, yes, I'll be back. He just said, hey, I'm going to talk with my family. I've had some health things in recent years. I need to just kind of sit down for a little bit and get that done. And, but Self said in a statement that, quote, he remains focused and committed to Kansas and competing for a national championship. He said his announcement comes, he also said with renewed clarity and the ongoing support from our administration. He says, I look forward to seeing and hearing from the best fans in college basketball next season at Allen Fieldhouse. End quote there from Bill Self in a statement saying he'll be back for the 2026-27 season for Kansas basketball. Once again, I don't think it was a shocker. It's perfectly fine. Bill Self is back. He's ready to go to work there for KU. Some interesting thing, one thing that you, as a coach, if you're Bill Self, you won a lot of games. You're one of the best coaches left standing out there, if not the best active coaches. But, one of the things that to hear is, to have the renewed clarity and ongoing support from our administration. That's a humongous part anymore. It's a humongous part of the ordeal is to have that be done, is to have that support from your administration. That's a humongous part. Because you need money to go out and build your roster, to be able to retain your roster, and to keep your recruits. And so the reason that I ask about the FB Bank text line at 785-899-2222, particular for Kansas fans, with him being back now officially, what is the biggest question for Kansas basketball going into the 2026-27 season? We know probably Darren Peterson is gone. We know they're going to lose guys like Trey White and Melvin Council Jr. They're going to lose some key pieces like that just due to, either it be the draft or wanting to move on in their careers to the draft or being done with senior, being out of eligibility. So what is the biggest question mark for Kansas? The biggest question mark hanging out there the last few weeks was, will Bill Self return? So now what is the biggest question when it comes for KU now that Bill Self is back and has said he will be back for next year? He has the administration behind him saying we're good to go. We're going to have the funding to go out and keep the roster. I mean, I think first and foremost, once again, you got to evaluate the roster. And the question is who is staying and who is going of players that are still eligible. Flory Badunga tested the portal waters last time. He was able to, he went out in the portal. He came back. Kansas was able to retain him. Are there guys like that Kansas, is Paul Mbia a guy they want to try and stick around? Or is he a guy that's going to be shown the door, quote unquote? Is that a guy that they want to send out and let him to, go someplace else. They haven't seen enough from him. Is Cole Rosario one of those guys who's going to be back this year, or are they going to go find, go someplace else? So who is going to stay and who is going to go? And Bill Self, I think, holds the final hammer when that comes, even if it's a guy, that he brought in and hasn't seen what he wanted to see through the first year or two of that kid's, it's a business where you can just say, look, you're not going to play much going forward. We're going to recruit over you. And unless that kid is just like, well, I'm going to beat anybody and prove you wrong, that kid's probably going to go in the portal. So who's back? You think Flory's back. I think El Marco Jackson is back. Some of these other key pieces are coming back. A couple other pieces will be coming back possibly. But after that, you got to go out and you got to fill the roster with the rest of those open spots. Now, Coach Self has done a great job recruiting here. This for this upcoming season, he has one of the best recruits in the nation, 98 5-star, out of Atlanta, Taylon Kinney, a 6'1" point guard, which is big because they could use a point guard now. I don't know if Kansas really had they had DeJuan Harris a couple of years ago. They didn't really have a super great point guard this year. I'm trying to think off the top of my head if I'm just completely blowing my mind and forgetting about that. But they're going to bring in the freshman Taylon Kinney, who has signed the point guard out of Overtime Elite in Atlanta. They went out and added some size. They've got a 6'9" center, Davian Adkins. Well, I'm guessing, I haven't seen a lot of these kids play, but I'm guessing kind of a lot like Flory Badunga, a very athletic kid, especially at 6'9", 205, skinny and athletic for a center there. Also bringing in a small forward from Link Academy, Trent Perry. He's a 4-star, 90 rating recruit. And then out of Mater Dei of California, Luke Barnett, another 6'4" shooting guard. He's a 90 4-star at this point in time. And so he is back as well. Michael saying Adkins, he's big and he can ball. Is that Adkins you're saying there, or somebody else? Michael, which one are you talking about? Michael says, Ebby Bay texting, you kind of knew he wasn't going to go anywhere. I mean, yes, once again, Michael, like I said, it's not shocking news that Coach Self is back. I'm not saying that it is shocking news, but he is back. He also says he thinks Tyron Stokes is coming to Lawrence. Meow. Well, like I said, I'll be very interested to see. He's got 4 really good freshmen coming in. How much do those guys contribute in this next season? And then what kind of pieces do you go out and get in the portal? And the tough part is you don't really know, and you know what some pieces are in the portal, but you don't have any idea what's out there, particularly of the mid-May. I mean, Melvin Council Jr. was not a player that nobody had heard of really whatsoever. Had not heard of that at all. And Melvin Council Jr. comes, and he is a lightning rod for that KU team and helped save them in a couple of games this year, particularly when Darren Peterson wasn't able to play. He was humongous for them. He was the savior, and he was at St. Bonaventure. And so those kind of players do the Jayhawks need to find? And once again, it's hard to know what you need until you know when the portal opens here in 5 days on the 7th of April. That's a Tuesday, this next coming Tuesday, when the portal opens, who is leaving, who is coming. I don't think Kansas has announced anybody that is going to leave. I don't think anybody has announced that that they are leaving this program. Besides, of course, Darren Peterson for the draft, obviously, and then the seniors that are out, Trey White and the Melvin Council Jr. and a couple other players, they're out. But otherwise, you're going to have a lot of guys back, and you're bringing in a class of 4. And I'll be just interested to see what pieces Bill Self goes out and gets in the portal. Because once again, I've said this before on the show, I think Coach Self kind of had a little bit of a revelation. When the portal era began, he definitely tried he definitely dipped his paws in that with Hunter Dickinson and things of that sort. And it probably didn't work out as good as Bill Self would have liked it to. It didn't go as good as he was hoping for when he first started in the portal. And then the last year, he went out and he recruited some of the best players in the country, brought them in, and then supplemented with portal pieces like Melvin Council and things like that. And I'm guessing we're going to see something like that. He will go out and get some supplementation with some other pieces out there. I mean, FB Bank text line, Michael, once again saying Luke Barnett has the range like Mullins, and I'm excited for him. So he can definitely shoot the 3 ball. And they probably could use a real sniper. I know last year Darren Peterson hit some shots, but they didn't have like a true just 3-point marksman last year, did they? I don't think they had a really, I guess Trey White at times was that. Trey White, I take that back, was kind of like that, but they got to replace him. So they got to go find that 3-point marksman. Hopefully Mullins can fill that spot there. It's an interesting time for Kansas basketball and it is for every college basketball program. It was just a little bit, and I do mean a little bit, more intriguing with the idea that Bill Self might want to step down. We've seen a lot of coaches that are kind of from Bill Self's era have been like, I'm done with this. I don't want to go and deal with, roster turnover and reconstruction again and all that stuff and dealing with all that. I'm done with it. We're going to move on. But he's back. He wants to go again, try to compete for another national championship. And they got a lot of nice pieces. Once again, if they can retain the roster that he has, bring in these great freshmen, and then find what they need in the portal, which maybe, 2 or 3, 4 pieces in the portal they can bring in and supplement. All of a sudden, you got yourself a team right there that once again will be vying for not only an NCAA tournament bid, but a deep run in the NCAA tournament bid. But Bill Self, once again, is back for Kansas. And just what is the biggest question now for Kansas? I think, once again, it comes down to roster retention. Who is staying? Who is going? And then how do we fill those roles with who we have coming in, whether it's recruiting or the portal? All right, let's get to our first break here on this Thursday show. When we come back, we're going to change gears, talk a little Nebraska athletics with our good friend Michael Brunt. It's been an exciting time for Nebraska fans with men's basketball, baseball, softball, all that stuff going on, having great success. We'll touch on that as well as spring football and thoughts after spring football got done for Nebraska this past weekend. It's all next here on the Morning Blitz.
At Next Tech Wireless, we built a network for Kansans by Kansans. But just because our roots are here, it doesn't mean your adventures have to be. Take that trip, explore new places, make new memories. You can count on reliable service every step of the way. Bring your number to us to get unlimited data plus a Samsung Galaxy S26 for as low as $25 a month. Next Tech Wireless, connecting Kansans for 20 years, wherever life takes you.
Big refund, big project, big savings at Menards. Turn your tax refund into your next big project. That patio you've been dreaming of is more affordable than you think when you do it yourself. Get free estimates fast using our landscaping design program in-store or on Menards.com. Save big on the largest selection of concrete landscaping blocks at Menards. Plus, check out our weekly flyer on Menards.com for all the great deals happening now.
Save big money at Menards.
It's time for a check of the markets with the Anderson Trade Group on the Kansas Farm and Ranch Radio Network.
Good morning. This is Kate Thompson with Skyland Grain. Today is Thursday, April 2nd. Grain market seeing some strength on the overnights as corn traded higher 6.5 cents on the overnights at $4.59 in a quarter. July up 6.5 at $4.70 in a quarter. September up 5.5 at $4.71 3/4. December up 5.5 at $4.85 3/4. May soybeans up 3 3/4 on the overnights at $11.71. July up 3 3/4 at $11.86 3/4. August up 4 1/4 at $11.82 3/4. September beans up 4.5 at $11.59. Kansas City wheat, the May contract higher 7 1/4 on the overnights at $6.21. July up 8 at $6.36 1/4. September up 6 3/4 at $6.48 3/4. December hard wheat up 7 at $6.66 1/4. Chicago wheat, the May contract higher 9 on the overnights at $6.06 1/2. July up 8 3/4 at $6.17 3/4. September up 8 3/4 at $6.30 1/2. December soft wheat up 8 3/4 at $6.47. On the equity side of things this morning, the Dow down $625 at 46,181. The S&P down 95 at 6,522. The Nasdaq down 444 at 23,723. Gold lower $183 an ounce at 4,629. Crude oil up almost $13 at $113 a barrel. If you have any questions about marketing grain or would like to talk about risk management options, in our Kansas City office, you can reach Tyler Dosch, Tom Saluto, or Jared Law at 913-748-3676. 3000.
The Anderson Trade Group, proud market partners with Kansas Farm and Ranch Radio. Find out more at andersongrain.com. The risk of loss through trading futures and or options is substantial, and each investor or trader must consider whether this is a suitable investment. Past performance, whether actual or indicated, is not indicative of future results. The Anderson Trade Group has no guarantee that the advice given will result in profitable trades.
Farmers looking to boost crop performance and improve your profitability? Thiosulfates can help you do both. With Thiosol and KTS, you can create custom blends that allow you to extend your UAN supply while providing essential sulfur to your crop. Thiosulfates also protect your nitrogen investment by reducing losses through both nitrate leaching and denitrification, keeping more nitrogen available for your corn. Protect your nitrogen investment and increase yields with KTS and Thiosol. Call your local ag dealer today or visit TessenderLocurley.com.
Kansas Corn reminds you that E15 fuel is the right choice for every kind of driver. For the car enthusiast, E15 has higher octane. For the thrifty driver, E15 is priced lower than regular unleaded. For the nature lover, E15 provides cleaner air. For the shopper who buys local, E15 has more ethanol from our Kansas corn farms. Choose E15 for a higher octane, lower price, and cleaner American fuel. This message from the Kansas Corn Commission. Learn more at kscorn.com.
Whether it's touchdowns, home runs, or buzzer beaters, we've got you covered. It's the Morning Blitz.
8:32 Central, 7:32 Mountain Time here on this Thursday, April the 2nd. Once again, a little overcast start to the day, but not too bad. I know it feels like 38 outside, but it's a warm 38. I don't think it feels too bad. That's what happens when there's not any wind at this point in time. We're going to get to highs in the mid-70s today, and a little windy out of the northwest at around 10 to 20 this afternoon. But overall, I think sunny and 75, I think is what I would call it here today. It'll be a pretty nice day here on the High Plains. Of course, don't forget, NWBKSradio.net is the place to go to. Our website, find great news, information, listen to our radio stations live that way, and find out more information about our radio auction coming up, the NWBKS radio auction coming up April 17th. You can go there now. There are some of our items posted on there. Christina does a great job with that, keeping it looking good and keeping it up to date as best as we get the items in there. But lots of items, lots of services, great gift cards for all kinds of things. And the NWBKS radio auction will be coming up here April 17th. Put it on your calendar and get prepared. Going to be a good time. So make sure you join us on April 17th for our radio auction. Yesterday, I was able to catch up with Michael Bruntz, our good friend from Huskers 24/7 Sports. As I mentioned earlier in the show, it's been an exciting time to be a Nebraska sports fan, with men's basketball making a run to the Sweet 16 for the first time ever. Baseball, winners of 18 out of their past 19. Softball is a top 10 ranked team. And in the background, there's Nebraska football holding its earliest spring session ever. In fact, they get done pretty much around the time that, for an example, Kansas State gets started. And so yesterday was able to catch up with Michael Bruntz. And I started off asking him about, is this the most exciting time in Nebraska sports since he has been covering the program?
Yeah, it's been an interesting last couple months, and it's rare that football takes a back seat to any news. And Nebraska just kind of quietly ran through spring ball when you had the NCAA tournament run going on, and baseball's ranked and doing well. Softball's in the top 10, so there's a lot going on and a lot to kind of cover here in Lincoln.
How odd is it to be talking about other sports than football on this kind of level of success? And once again, football really not getting really any significant coverage at this point in time, particularly this time of year. It just seems so weird, right?
Yeah, well, and with them starting spring ball as early as they did, I think that kind of added to it. And then certainly the run that Nebraska basketball made. I mean, I've never seen it before where, you have a spring practice, and I think there were like 6 of us there. Everybody else was in Houston at the Sweet 16. So just kind of tells you the amount of intrigue that was there. And I think that would have been obvious to anybody, though, given, what the scene was in Oklahoma City and how Nebraska kind of took over there. So it's different. It's fun. It was kind of a wild ride to be on down there, and I guess we're onto the off season for football, and baseball's rocking and rolling now, and you got your transfer portal period opening for basketball too, so it never stops.
Michael Bruntz, our good friend from Huskers 24/7 Sports, joining us on the Hoover Lumber Ace Hardware Hotline. I want to go back and reflect on just these last couple of weeks when it comes to men's basketball. I mean, with what happened in Oklahoma City, with the excitement and the fan base being there and the run to the Sweet 16 after not having won a game. I mean, where does that rank when it comes to Husker sporting events that you've seen and covered throughout your life?
Yeah, I always tell people the one that I think will always be tough to top in a non-football sense was the 2005 College World Series. That one for a long time has been at the top, just with the kind of unexpected run, just the crowd support and just the atmosphere for those games was just on another level. And I think that game against Vanderbilt is pretty close. I mean, that was just unbelievable atmosphere. Nebraska fans really did take over Oklahoma City for a couple of days. I mean, you had bars that were running out of ice. They were running out of couldn't keep the Busch Lights stocked for most of the week. And then you just kind of had this just epic game against Vanderbilt where, I mean, it was really, really good basketball for the last 5 minutes of that game and the way it kind of flipped. And, the Frager making the shot, the near miss at the end where everybody's hearts kind of stopped for a minute. And I'd say it's right up there with the 05 College World Series for what I've covered. And the team that, I don't cover basketball full time now, but I covered it for 15 years. And, that was just a really, that's a team that I think for fans was really easy to root for. It was veteran guys, number of guys that had, in every sense of the word, maxed out what they have. I mean, you talk about Rink Mast coming off the knee injury, Sam Hoiberg doing what he did. You add Price Sanford in, who just kind of took his play to another level this year. I mean, I think fans found it really easy to kind of jump on the bandwagon and follow that team. So it was kind of a magical ride, I think.
What can Fred Hoiberg do with this kind of momentum that he gained in this Sweet 16 run for years to come? What do you think he can do with it?
Well, I mean, just from a financial support point of view, I think what, a run like that did, it woke up a lot of boosters, I think. And when you talk about, when I say Nebraska maxed out, I mean, they were not one of the most expensive rosters in the Big Ten by any means. They were towards the bottom, probably about where they were picked to finish in the conference this year at the start of the season, which was right around 14th. So I think, that wild ride, I think, has allowed Nebraska to go back to some of its boosters and basically say, like, hey, you thought this was fun. I mean, it's going to take some money to retain guys. It's going to take money to go out and be competitive, to find replacements for Rink Mast and to add to that roster. So I think you can do that. I think Nebraska probably, got a little bit of attention for itself as well as what kind of an option can they be for players. And you look at what Nebraska is kind of going to be competing against on the recruiting trail and things like that. I mean, it's they're going to be competing against Iowa. They're going to be competing against Creighton. They're going to be competing against regional schools. And I think, this has kind of showed that, Nebraska has the ability to make a run like this. And, you should come be a part of it. So, I think that. I think, too, when you're talking portal, Price Sanford has to be pretty attractive for guys that are coming in and, wanting to – they have NBA aspirations. Fred's put guys in the NBA from Nebraska with consistency. So I think there's a lot a lot that you can kind of take from this run that you can build on. I mean, I don't know that there are too many negatives in the way that things played out.
Michael Bruntz, our guest, Huskers 24/7 Sports. Like you said, with this great run for Nebraska basketball, football was definitely left in the rearview mirror, wasn't thought about as much. And I'm sure Matt Rule really liked it that way. What did you take away from this spring, if anything? And what do you still have a lot of question marks about going into these summer months?
Yeah, I think offensively, I walked away from the red-white game feeling okay about the direction of things. I didn't have nearly the concern about the running back spot that some people did. I think what they have there with Nelson and with Mosey and now with Jamal Rule being a potential addition to that rotation, I think they can be okay. I mean, I think the additions they made out of the transfer portal along the offensive line were largely positive. I think it's a bigger group. I think it's a more athletic group, which should open things a little bit. And certainly, Anthony Calandria and his ability to run and extend plays, I think, is going to be, a big X factor for this offense, because Nebraska just frankly has not had that the last couple of years. And I think it really kind of puts opposing defenses in binds in terms of how they're going to approach Nebraska and defend them. So I think that's all good. I still do have questions about, what does this defense ultimately look like? It's a new system. You're having to coach up a lot of guys in that front seven that were, here last year. You just need to get more out of them. And so I think they made progress this spring. I think, it's going to be probably wait and see mode for whether or not they can kind of get things shored up front and be better there. So that's a big question mark for me. But I think offensively, I think on that side of the ball, I probably left the spring a little bit more encouraged. And especially given that they were going pretty vanilla in the red-white game and we're still able to do some things.
You mentioned, you didn't get a lot of good information at times because you just didn't get to see very much. What side of the ball in general do you think will be improved from last year, offense or defensive? Which one will be improved more?
Yeah, I think offensively it's just going to look different. I mean, I think there should be more balance. I mean, you go back to last season and it got to the end of the year and Nebraska was essentially a run-first team. And you look at what the offensive skill position players look like now. I mean, I think the wide receivers are probably the strength of that offense. And, I think Calandria's got a good sense of timing. I think the fact that he's able to extend plays and allow guys a little bit more time to get open, I think that'll benefit the wide receivers and maybe result in a few more big plays. So, I think they'll be better. I think they'll also be able to use tempo a little bit more than they wanted to last year, whether that was kind of to protect the defense or, just the way they were approaching things. I mean, you saw a little bit of tempo in the spring game, which I think that's something that Nebraska's wanted to do, but just hasn't been able to. So I think they should be better there. I think it'll look a little bit different. And I think that's okay because they were really reliant on Emmett Johnson last year. And I think they've got a little bit more balance that they'll be able to find offensively this season.
Michael Brunt's our guest, Husker 24/7 Sports. We'll wrap it up with some thoughts on the Diamond. Who's having a better start or a better season thus far, softball or baseball for the Huskers?
Well, I think relative to expectations, I think it's baseball. I think the expectation is that Nebraska softball with what they had returning was a potential super regional team. I think they've played to that. Certainly beating UCLA and taking 2 or 3 last weekend at home, that was a really big series. And I think they've got the talent to be there at the end of the season. Nebraska baseball, they're ranked. They're number 19 this week in the polls. It seems like they've finally figured out some of their midweek issues that they've had in the past. They've got a little bit more starting pitching depth this year. And I think more importantly, the way they put together their roster to be able to hit with a little bit more consistency, you've seen that play out. So they've got that win over Auburn. They've got a win over Florida State. You look at RPI now since we're actually in April and Nebraska's in the mid-20s. That's a pretty good start with 2 really big Big Ten series still on the docket against USC and Oregon. So there's an opportunity to add some better wins for them as well. So I think maybe a little bit more of not a surprising start, but a little bit stronger start relative to expectations on the baseball side of things.
Yeah, and with that, I mean, like you said, that they've got some really big series coming up here in the next couple of weeks with Oregon and USC. How do you think they're going to fare in those series? I mean, have they been tested good enough for those series here early on, or where do you stand on that thought?
Yeah, I mean, I think the early aggressive scheduling helps in series like that. You look at the Auburn, and then the Auburn series, which was a true road series, and then the tournament in Texas, and you're playing regional type teams, and I think that'll help them. They've seen good pitching. They've seen guys throwing mid-90s out of the bullpen, which you don't see every day in the Big Ten against some of the teams. So they're tested. I think they've I think the thing you can kind of take away from the start to the year, even though they've beaten teams they're supposed to, they've won in different ways. I mean, they've run-ruled teams. They've walked teams off. They've won pitchers duels. That it's a really veteran team that I think is pretty comfortable playing different styles of baseball if they have to. So I think that'll help them in those types of series. And certainly USC is pitching about as good as anybody in the country right now. Oregon's tough at home. But those are the types of series, you got to win if you want to host, and that's what Nebraska wants to do. And at least right now they're trending in a positive direction there. And, getting a couple series wins over, Oregon and USC, who are going to be in regionals, would be huge. And especially with the Big Ten Conference going to a little bit of a different format for its tournament, you want to be in those top 4 seeds coming out of the regular season. And right now, Nebraska's very firmly in that group, but everybody's chasing UCLA right now.
What about the story of Dylan Carey? I just feel that story to be so cool this year with a guy who I think wanted to probably get drafted and go play professional baseball, didn't even get sniffed at, and just has come back with an absolute authority here this year and is just crushing the baseball.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of the ultimate motivation for a guy. He had cleaned out his locker after last season at Haymarket Park, expecting that, even if he didn't get drafted, a potential free agency option would be there for him. Teams told him, we want to see more power at the plate, a little bit more pop. And he's done that. I mean, he's been great in the middle of the lineup. It's just he's the nicest kid you would ever imagine, on a baseball diamond, but he's playing with an edge this year and definitely taken what happened at the end of last season as motivation going into his senior year. And Nebraska's really benefited from it. He's been, the strikeouts are down, the power numbers are up. And I think, that's been, one of the stories of the year for Nebraska offensively. It's coming in, the question was the guys that you hoped and who needed to be dudes in that lineup have so far lived up to expectations. And I think that's a big reason why Nebraska's been able to click at the plate. And Dylan Carey is certainly at the front of that line.
Michael, I'll let you go on this. 2 quick questions. Over under 100 losses for your A's this summer. And is your NCAA tournament bracket still intact somewhat?
Bracket is taking on water. I think I had Duke winning, so that's not good. And then I will go slightly under 100 losses for the A's. I think the youngsters will start hitting, even though they are not currently doing so. So I will say slightly under for 100 losses.
Michael Bruntz, Huskers 24/7 Sports. Michael, it's always great to catch up, my friend. Thank you so much for the time.
Anytime, Ross. Take care.
Once again, great stuff there from Michael Bruntz joining me yesterday. Let's get to a break. When we return, we will wrap up the show with a very busy spring sports season day ahead and much more. This is the Morning Blitz.
When fraud strikes, every second counts. At FNB Bank, we take your security seriously. Our local team monitors for suspicious activity and responds fast, so small issues don't turn into bigger problems. I'm Jessica Von Little at FNB Bank. We are your first line of defense, protecting you, your money, and your peace of mind. FNB Bank, local, trusted, here for you. Member FDIC.
Craving something delicious? McDonald's has you covered. From hot, fresh breakfast to juicy burgers and crispy fries, there's something for everyone, any time of day. And don't forget to try our classic McCafe coffee or refreshing McFlurry. Visit us in Colby, Goodland, Burlington, and Lamar for fast, friendly service and the flavors you love. Drive through, dine in, or order ahead on the McDonald's app. We'll have it fresh and ready. McDonald's, I'm loving it.
Are pests making your home or business uncomfortable? Call Pestaway in Goodland, Kansas, serving all of Northwest Kansas. They provide top-notch pest control services to keep your space safe and pest-free. From ants to rodents, termites to spiders, our expert team is here to help with effective, safe, and affordable pest control solutions. Don't wait. Call Pestaway today at 785-728-7166 for fast, reliable service. Your home or business deserves the best protection.
The days are getting longer, the roads are calling, and it's a great time to upgrade your ride at Hurl Chevrolet GMC in Goodland. Right now, get 1.9% APR for 36 months on a 2026 GMC Terrain, the perfect SUV for wherever the road takes you. Need a truck? Take advantage of up to $7,000 in rebates on a 26 GMC Sierra 1500 with eligible trade-in. And for serious capability, get $500 bonus cash on a new 2026 GMC 3500. See the full lineup today at Hurl Chevrolet GMC in Goodland or online at hurlchev.com.
You can feel it in the air. Longer days, greener lawns, and plenty of projects waiting around the house. Good thing Hoover Lumber-Ace Hardware in Goodland has you covered. Freshen up your home with Benjamin Moore paint, tackle the yard with powerful Ego battery tools, and give your lawn the boost it needs with Stage 1 Ultimate Fertilizer. Thinking about cooking outside? Check out their great selection of grills, griddles, smokers, and outdoor living essentials. And remember, if you need it, Hoover Lumber-Ace Hardware probably has it. They even have milk. Hoover Lumber-Ace Hardware in Goodland and Colby, your place for just about everything.
Sports talk that's fast, fresh, and always on point.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
This is the Morning Blitz.
All right, just a few minutes left to go on a Thursday program. Once again, thank you for tuning in, no matter which way you are doing so today. Highlighted on this a little bit in the first segment. The Colorado Rockies and Kansas City Royals both picking up wins yesterday. The Rockies getting a win in Toronto, 2-1 in 10 innings. I'll mention that it was the first series win for Colorado in Toronto over the Blue Jays ever. It had never happened before, but they get it done 2 games, 1. Nice opening nice road series win. The Rockies have the day off today. They will be at home at Coors Field starting tomorrow as they welcome in the Phillies, which is a very tough opponent to have the home opener, but always a beautiful, beautiful ballpark to go there and watch a game for sure there at Coors Field. The Royals, they win on a slugfest last night, 13-9. Kansas City was up 12-1 at one point in time. Twins got back in a little bit, another insurance run for Kansas City. But they pretty much had it in command for most of it. They win 13-9. A fun stat was that Kansas City had only scored 9 runs in their first 4 games of the season going into that contest, and they scored 13 last night, which, as we know, is quite a bit of runs. So the offense broke open there for sure for the Royals. Big night for Kyle Isabel at the plate, 4 for 4 with a homer. Noah Cameron got his first win of the year. But it was Jonathan India's grand slam and 5 RBIs that capped a massive 7-run 6th inning. And on the Hurl Chevrolet GMC video stream, David and Laura chimed in saying that India's grand slam was the Sonic Grand Slam, winning a fan from Pittsburgh, Kansas, $25,000, which I had kind of seen that. David or Laura, whoever is messaging in on the Hurl Chevrolet GMC video stream, I did kind of see that, but I'm glad that you brought it up because that's a nice little payday there for a grand slam. So Jonathan India gets it done for the Royals and gives those people some little extra jingle in their pocket for sure. Kansas City is in action today. They go for a sweep of Minnesota. That is an early first pitch time, 1:10 Central. As always, Royals baseball on AM 790 KXXX. And as I mentioned today, it is a loaded day. The spring sports season kicks into overdrive, if you want to call it that, today, with lots of things going on. Fort Hays Tech Northwest softball, by the way, was in action yesterday. They lost at Seward County 11-1 and 14-3. Lots of baseball and softball today. Colby High School is at home hosting Russell. Both softball and baseball have doubleheaders against Russell. That's going to be an interesting series, particularly on the baseball side. Russell's a really good program. Colby, of course, is a really good program. That's a big-time early series for the Eagles taking on the Broncos there of, I think it's still Russell Victoria, as they combine to play baseball and softball together. But Colby Russell Victoria, a couple of interesting series there in baseball and softball over there in Colby. The Goodland Cowboys, our baseball team, on the road to Garden City here. Later on this morning, we'll have coverage of it with first pitch at 3 o'clock Mountain Time on Rocket 102.5 KLOE. Cowboys coming off their first win of the season, a 1-0 shutout victory over Burlington, and then lost in a football score 24-12. So we will see what the Cowboys have against Garden City. Once again, it's a 6A school that has struggled a bit. You know, Garden City's got some good players, but they only win about 6 to 8 games a year. The last handful of years has Garden City baseball, but they've got some nice pieces this year again. And anytime you got a 3A team taking on a school that's pretty much twice your size, if not more, it can always be hard. We'll see what the Cowboys have in store for them as they take on Garden City today down there in Garden at Clint Leitner Field. Decatur Community Baseball at Ellis for a doubleheader here this afternoon, and Colby Community College Baseball down on the road in Liberal taking on Seward County. We'll see if the Trojans can continue the little bit of momentum they gained last week in taking 3 out of 4 from Barton. Can they continue it against Seward County this weekend? And like I mentioned, everything else kind of gets going. We've had some baseball, had some softball, but now more things get going here today. You've got Goodland and Colby Tennis going to Ellsworth for an invitational today in their first action of the season. The Oberlin Golf Invite always seems to get things going each and every year, and you've got teams from St. Francis, Rawlins County, Hoxie, Oakley, Wheatland, Grinnell, Wallace County, and others will be going to the Oberlin Golf Invite. Quinter will be going to golf at the Trigo Invitational today. And then it is a busy day for track and field as well. Multiple events going on. You've got Goodland going to Ulysses, to that Tiger Invite. You've got Quinter, Cheyenne going to the Oberlin Quad. Hoxie goes to Russell for some track and field today, and Rawlins County at Quinter doing some running today as well. So lots of different things happening in track and field as that season kind of gets started here on this Thursday. So like I said, it is a very, very busy spring sports season day with a lot of different events and things going on for sure.
High drive, deep left, grand slam! And back lifts his ball deep to right. How about a walk-off Brady? Thomas to the 10. Denver's going on to New England. They win it on the first play of overtime. Mahomes flings it. It's there. Hardman, jackpot, Kansas City.
A little bit of breaking news this morning when it comes to the AFC West. The Las Vegas Raiders have added a quarterback, as it sounds like veteran Kirk Cousins has agreed to a deal with the Raiders. 37-year-old. I don't know if he's going to be there to start. Remember, it's widely expected that the Raiders are going to select Indiana quarterback Fernando Mendoza with the first overall pick here later on this month. But Cousins is a 4-time Pro Bowler. He's had some success. He had a lot of success up in Minnesota with Clint Kubiak, who is the head coach now for the Raiders. So maybe there's something there. If anything, Kirk Cousins can go and be at least a good sounding board and mentor for Fernando Mendoza. I know Kirk Cousins is a very competitive guy and doesn't want to be that, understandably so. He wants to start, and he might get it. He'll probably get, more than likely, he will get a chance to start a couple of games, whether Fernando gets hurt or Fernando's not ready. We'll find out. But Kirk Cousins is a Las Vegas Raider as they continue to do that massive rebuild there in Vegas. All right, like I said before, don't forget to catch a little Goodland Cowboy baseball on the radio waves here of KLOE. We'll have coverage starting at 2:40 Mountain Time with Goodland Game Day presented by the Insurance Agency. First pitch right around 3 o'clock between the Cowboys and the Buffaloes of Garden City High. So tune in if you can't make it down south to Garden. Have a great rest of your Thursday. We're back tomorrow on a Friday. We'll be talking Final Four. Our good friend Sam Hadfield from 801 Bracketology will be joining us to discuss that and so much more. Have a great Thursday. It's been the Blitz.
Rocket 102.5 KL.